All right. Summer Game Fest as a whole is over outside of the Death Stranding 2 deep dive that I'm not interested in. So we're going to finally do the other half of this reaction to all the things. I've compiled 61 videos across the entire thing. So that includes Sony State of Play, Summer Game Fest, the primary thing, the Day of the Devs that followed, I watched the Devolver Digital, but I'm not interested in the game they showed there. The shows that came before State of Play, like the Mix and something else that I can't remember. The Wholesome Games Direct, the Women-Led Games Direct, the Latin America Direct, the Southeast Asia Direct, the Future Game Show, Green Show, I don't know what that one is, but they had some stuff. The Xbox show that just happened today, the PC gaming show that just happened, IGN Live. Absolutely exhausting amount of reveals for nearly a week. With the Switch 2 coming out. Just mind-boggling how much content has been dumped upon us. And there is a high likelihood Nintendo is going to have a Direct this upcoming week too. Just to throw even more onto the pile. But what we're going to do is, we're not going to watch all of these trailers, because there's a bunch from Sony and a bunch from the Summer Game Fest that I already recorded. We'll not do those, but we will go through everything that I did not cover in the other reaction. So it's still going to be a good chunk of time, because that's going to probably like 40 videos. And we'll just talk about it as we go through. And I think the volume will work this time. I'm really upset about Summer Game Fest being so quiet. Somehow, my mouse wheel has more control over the YouTube volume slider than I'm used to. So when I unmuted it, I moved the mouse to the left and it adjusted the volume. I saw that happen today. And I was like, oh, that's what happened. So that's why you couldn't hear anything, is because YouTube, in its infinite wisdom, decided to give more mouse control to their volume when you click on it. Very annoying. So apologies for that, but we should be good for this particular video, I hope, so you'll be able to hear everything. Okay, let's start with Sea of Remnants. It had a second trailer outside of State of Play that gets more into story and gameplay. I haven't seen this yet. So let's see what this game's about, because the initial trailer was really interesting. I really think the art style in this game is incredible. It's really, really cool. I like this. There's really neat little effects all over it, too. Kitty. Okay, so you unlock something there. And you can pet the kitty.
You know Autopia?
You can play with the kitty. You can feed the kitty.
You know Autopia?
What? Food?
So it looks like there's quite a bit of like interaction with townsfolk.
You know Autopia?
Who's asking?
Yeah, The art style of this game is so good.
Tough guy, huh?
Alright, so you can jump into Mahjong.
You know Autopia?
Navigate.
You know Autopia? Huh? Oh, over there.
Okay, so there is some customization.
You know Autopia? See for yourself. Here? Autopia?
Hush! I'm the captain!
Son of a... This is definitely not Autopia! Where is it?
What's with you and Ortopia?
Who the hell knows? Autopia! What the hell?
Yeah, this game is wild. There's so much going on with this.
You know Autopia? It's
Right under your feet. Come on.
Oh, there's a bit more.
Wait. To Autopia. Or tell me how to get to...
Alright, so this game looks fascinating to me. I would love to learn more about it. The interesting thing is that they're not telling us who's making it. NetEase is behind it. I don't know why they're being so coy about telling us that. But it is a lovely looking game. It's really fascinating. I want to know more about it. This really did open up a bit more of what the hook is. And it does look like you can customize your main character, which was really the only thing that I was wondering. So I'm pretty stoked about this game, to be honest. I think it looks really neat. So I hope that it turns out well, because we don't really know when it's going to be coming out. But it will be happening eventually. Let's jump into the next thing, which will be Screamer. This is a racing game. I'm normally not super into racing games. But this one's got such a cool style to it. And I remember seeing this last year during one of these shows. And was really intrigued by it. So I haven't seen the new trailer yet. I just knew I was going to want to watch it when I saw it pop up on the feed I was looking at to try to get trailers.
He's here. Let's go.
What I like about this is that there's some story stuff going on with the racing. So it's not just like a true hardcore racing game with no personality. Because I need more than that in a lot of situations. but it just has just a really nice look to it. It reminds me a little bit of Burnout in some ways. If it was a street racer more than the combat racer it was. God, we need some Burnout style stuff. But then you can do like super powered stuff like this. Yeah. So there's some arcadiness to it that I really like. So it looks like that release date got held to next year, but out of all the racing games that are more quote-unquote grounded in reality, unlike like Sonic Racing Cross Worlds or whatever they're calling it, or Mario Kart World, that looks really interesting to me. The new Shinobi game had a new gameplay trailer. They've had a few trailers recently. This game looks really sick. The thing about this game that I have to keep in mind is that while it is being developed by Lizard Cube, they didn't actually do the gameplay of Streets of Rage or Wonder Boy Monster World. That was Guard Crush. And Guard Crush is doing their own thing, which we'll see in a little bit. So Lizard Cube has had to add some developers to their team to deal with the gameplay part. The good news is that they seemingly got some good ones, because the game looks fun. The visuals are gorgeous as expected. It looks like an excellent follow-up to the Shinobi Legacy. And we do have a few games styled like this, so they definitely need to be standing out, with Ninja Gaiden Ragebound also bringing back a long dormant franchise to 2D. But I think this looks really promising. I'm not going to watch the whole thing because I want to have some surprise with it. But I think it looks really good, and I'm hopeful that it turns out well. So, at the Xbox show, one of the bigger things that got announced, but we kind of already knew, thanks to voice actors voicing that they wouldn't be returning to Persona 4's remake. Persona 4 Revival was shown, but it feels early because we get very little time to look at it. Very little time to look at it. You want some gameplay? Here's your less than 10 seconds. That's it. That's all you get. Let's talk about Persona 4. Because I keep talking about it offhandedly, and I don't think I've ever actually sat down to talk about it in a video. Maybe I have. When you record 140 plus episodes of something, it's hard to remember what you talked about. I loved Persona 4 when it came out in 2008. I thought it was brilliant and had incredible characters and storytelling and had a really compelling narrative, and it was really relatable for me in a lot of ways. Connecting with high schoolers that were going through like social stuff. Because I had my own fair share of that. I was working on early forms of my book Isolate at that point. In retrospect, Persona 4 has a lot of problems with its writing. It did not handle its LGBTQ themes well at all. And it hurt a couple of the characters especially. It also was like a little too horny on main, with Yosuke and with Teddy just being really annoying in that respect. So with this opportunity, Persona 4 Revival could reimagine those characters, those topics, those situations so much better than the original game could. Persona 3 Reload handled its remake by getting rid of some of its questionable writing and character choices. And that's why I picked it up, because I had heard that the stuff that was more problematic is not there anymore. So Atlus has the opportunity to do the same with 4. 4 is a bigger ask than 3. Because you're basically going to have to look at least 2 characters who identify as LGBTQ and figure out how to do those stories better. You're going to have 2 characters that were too horny and try to figure out how to tone them down and make them likable despite that possibility of their characterization being a part of them. Along with some other things. Risei's story could be told a little differently now, I think, than it could in 2008. Especially since they then fumbled the ball so bad in Persona 5 with Anne. I really think that I have optimism for what Atlus could do with P4 Revival because of how well they did Metaphor and that they actually addressed issues in Persona 3 Reload. Will this be a similar situation to P3 Reload, where they decide to nickel and dime the fan base? They could have released Persona 3 Reload with the Aegis content and the Fez content included, but they didn't. They released it as DLC and asked their fans to buy it again. I had never liked Fez, so I have no interest in buying that expansion, so I'm cool with the base game. Fez actually made me dislike Persona 3, so I don't want to touch it. With Persona 4, they have the opportunity to add the golden content, but are they going to have the same silly, rigid reasoning that they started P3 Reload's marketing with, that we want it to be authentic to the original game as much as possible, and then they added Fez? Are they going to be like that again? Are they going to say, no, we're not going to do the golden content because that was not in the original game, and then they're going to release it as DLC? I don't know. The only thing I do know for sure is that they're getting a new voice cast again, which I think is fine. And I hope that they do the work that they need to do to make these characters really shine and not screw it up again. So that's my take on Persona 4 and Revival. I have hopes for this game to be the best Persona 4 possible, and I really hope they could pull it off. So we're getting a brand new HD-ified version of R-Type Delta, which is debatably the best one. This came out on PS2 originally. Some people who know that game said that there's new ships for this version, but the game looks pretty much identical minus the HD up-resing, and that's a good thing. City Connection is doing this with Clear River, which is limited run and secret because they're an Embracer company now, so they have to have like 6 different companies underneath them. But I am very excited about the opportunity to have a chance to play R-Type Delta on modern hardware because I've heard it's so good. I had it for the PS2 for a little bit, but never got around to updating my PS2 visual stuff. So I'm hopeful that this turns out to be a solid conversion of that original game. Okay, before I get any further, this is kind of interesting. So, at the Wholesome Direct, which is usually super indie focused, hyper indie focused, Natsume and Marvelous had some games there, which is like unprecedented. I don't remember them being there before. And one of the games that Marvelous presented is Milano's Odd Job Collection. This is notable for a few things. One, this is a fan-driven localization project that Marvelous is basically funding and publishing. So that's awesome. And that means that Marvelous is letting other teams touch their IP. And they have a lot of stuff buried underneath them. Two, this is a West 1 game and a Victor game. Victor also did Kaio Flying Squadron for Sega CD and Saturn, I want to say. So if they can figure out stuff with Victor, maybe we'll see those games come back in some way. Three, this is just a neat looking title from what I've seen. I've not actually watched the trailer, but I've looked at screenshots. Let's actually play this now. This is like a mini game collection, if I'm not mistaken. But it's all about this young woman getting a job and doing various mini games to represent those jobs. But look at how charming this game looks. And then you get to decide how you want to spend your money. Just like real life. So yeah, this is just a really cool announcement. And there's just all kinds of different stuff you can do. So I think this is fantastic. Hilltop Works and Implicit Conversations are the fan-based teams that worked on this with Marvelous. Super cool, super cool. I want to see more of this from more companies. Like Konami has this incentive for smaller studios to work on their IP, but we've only really seen Getsu Sumadon show up, and that was like 2 years ago. Supposedly the La Mulana devs are making a new Nightmare, but we haven't seen it. So I think that this is a great thing, and I hope we see more of this from the big publishers and the medium-sized publishers in the future. So, one of the highlights of the Xbox show, and probably my choice for Microsoft's best-looking project, is from Double Fine. This is a cool-looking game. The art style is so strong, and I feel like we haven't seen anything new from Double Fine in a long time. But you are this sentient lighthouse, and you and your bird friend wander around this 3D environment. Doing the things and being buds. But look at how nice this looks. I don't know what the purpose of the game is, but I just kind of love it. It's super cool. Just a game that's about exploration and puzzles. And just fascinating art design. And just doing something very distinct and unique. At the moment, this is an Xbox exclusive doohickey, as well as PC. But we'll see how long that lasts. Next up, also at the Xbox show, was a new Plague Tale game. Although, honestly, without having played the first two, only seeing some of it, I have a hard time seeing how it's a Plague Tale game. Because there's no swarms of rats. But, despite that, this game looks super sick. It's a action-adventure game starring this young woman. And it shows off a few different things that she does. There's combat. There's parkour and platforming. There's puzzle solving. Looks like there's some stealth elements to it. That's some of the best, like, running in place or running sounds I've ever heard, by the way. I really felt that. So this is called Resonance, a Plague Tale Legacy. I don't know the connection to Plague Tale based on this trailer. I assume that there is some connection. Maybe this sets up the events in the other two games. I don't know. But it looks neat. Next up from the Xbox show is, what if the developers of Pokemon decided to create their own take on Princess Mononoke? You heard me correctly. This is Game Freak and the Beast of Reincarnation. This was a surprising reveal, because this is like the most complex game I think Game Freak has ever made. And it's hard for people to remember that they are actually an independent development house. They are not owned by Nintendo or by Creatures or the Pokemon Company. They just are the team that's worked on the games forever. So occasionally they do their own unique projects, and this is probably the coolest thing I've ever seen them make. I'm really intrigued by it. With it being Game Freak, I have to admit some concern, because Game Freak has had a hard time optimizing their game engine on the Switch. So will they be able to have a really good flowing game on higher powered hardware? Time will tell. But I just thought that looked really captivating. It was the first thing that caught my attention in the Xbox show. Alright, well, I mentioned Guard Crush Games earlier. They're still working with .emu on this original beat-em-up called Absolum. This is a character reveal, but this game looks like if they took everything they learned from Streets of Rage 4 and applied their own art style and original characters and just expanded upon the juggling aspect of that game to take it even a step further.
Felt so poor and useless.
The animation is incredible. The gameplay looks super fun. It's kind of like a living comic book type of thing. They're working with a team called Super Monks, which I think is doing the artwork for them. But yeah, this is a super cool looking game, and I'm really excited to see more on it. So, fascinatingly, there's 2 games from the Little Nemo IP in development right now, and this is one of them. This one reminds me a lot of A Boy and His Blob by Way Forward. I think it looks really, really cute and well animated. A really good art style. But it's a bit of a Metroidvania, it looks like. It just looks really charming to me. So the second one did not show up here for any of the gaming Summer Game Fest stuff, but that one also looks fantastic. I won't show it to you here since this is specifically about things that were revealed or shown off during this, but I would go check it out. Let me look up its name real fast. It's on Steam. Little Nemo and the Nightmare Fiends. It's also really pretty. I'll just show you a quick screen grab of it. Oh, thanks, Steam. Thanks, Steam. Thanks for being so helpful. Let's just re-record this part. It's called Little Nemo and the Nightmare Fiends. It's up on Steam. You can see a little bit of it running here. I don't want to run too long because, like I said, this is a reaction to things that were shown off. But go check it out. It also looks really cool. It's hopefully coming out soon. I know somebody who's working on this game as an animator. So I think it's kind of neat to see that this really interesting IP is getting two different interpretations. We saw Mina, so we don't need to watch this again. Alright, from the Mix Summer Game Showcase, which I think is what Guerrilla Collective became. I think they have the same hosts and everything. This is a game called Dragon is Dead. And it is gothic as hell. And I'm not gonna lie, I really want Bloodstain to look like this. And that's not to take anything away from what Artplay is doing with the new one that they showed off a State of Play. But I would be 10 times more hyped if it had pixel art versus the 2.5D stuff that they continue to do, even if it looks better in the new game. But I don't know if this is a Souls-like, so to speak, or a Hollow Knight-like, I guess would be more appropriate given it's 2D, or if it's a Metroidvania. But it just has really nice animation to it, really impressive pixel art, so wanted to show that off. Alright, Possessors got shown at the Day of the Devs. This is the new game from Heart Machine? I remember the dev studio's name. This is a very sad intro. Because all these kids die. They get eaten by this thing. And the professor watches it all happen and gets possessed in the process. And it's still in this classroom, who knows how long later. But we finally get to see some more gameplay for this game. And I think they've done an incredible job of making the combat look really fluid and sick looking. Like you feel every hit. It's super, super strong art style. I've got a lot of high hopes for this one. Devolver had a lot of their stuff just kind of hiding in other shows instead of their own this year. But I am really stoked about this game, and I hope it turns out well. This is a game called Elusive. This was also at the Mix.
Hiding from us and borrowing whatever they
So this is kind of like a take on the Borrower's concept.
but also dangerous threats that must be avoided.
And it's a Zelda-like,
The raiders are the most
as best as I could tell,
elusives,
but some
always
2D elements
seeking
as well.
adventure and treasure.
So it mixes between the
They're
two
quick and
formats.
stealthy, using guard clothes to keep them hidden and invisible to the eyes of humans and predators. Elusive is an adventure and exploration game with Metroidvania elements. The protagonist, Zoe, is a brave raider seeking adventure in the giant world of humans.
But yeah, I think this game
Along your
could
journey,
really be
you
something
will meet
special.
Other adventurous characters and merchants with whom you
I like
can
the
build
art style.
friendships. In Elusive, you'll explore every nook and cranny of an old
It
haunted
looks pretty
house,
smooth already at this early
uncovering
state.
pathways and tunnels within the walls that will lead you to hidden treasures.
This crow seems to be a major antagonistic force.
Elusive combines exploration with resource and treasure gathering, crafting, and quests in a giant house interconnected by tunnels. Let's raid together.
So I hope this game turns out well. It's got a lot of promise. And it's by Chibig, which is a studio I'm not familiar with, but very good looking game. Alright, this is Dosa Divas.
Lena Muse. Packs a punch.
So the team behind Thirsty Suitors
No one cooks anymore.
is working on this game. I saw it last year during Summer Game Fest and thought it was really, really cool. And we're getting like a really good look at what it's about. Which involves cooking and third-person action. And there's RPG elements. And it has a message I can kind of get behind. Yeah, and Outer Sloth is sponsoring this.
Hey, mamas. What's cooking?
Super cool. Alright, this isn't a new game. I just love Little Kitty Big City, and now you can customize your cat. And this song is a bop. I hope they actually put it in the game itself. The funny thing is I named my cat after my cat Flavia, and already looks a lot like her anyway, but now I can make her even look more like her, so... there's a new area opening up to the aquarium, and there's a few other updates as well, so I really like this game. I'm glad that it's getting more content, and free updates are always great. Support this studio. I think they did a really good job. Speaking of cats in indie games that are really good, Cat Quest 3 is getting some free updates as well. You can get some epic battles, fight the bosses over again if you'd like, and it looks like on a harder difficulties. You can get new birds. New birds! And they help you fight, which is super fun. And this looks like a new fight. So it looks like there's some just new content in here too. I played Cat Quest 3 a few months ago. Loved it. I thought it was super good. So I'm pretty stoked about getting more content for it. I don't know if it's going to really make me want to replay the whole thing. But this was great. I really recommend this game if you have not tried it yet. And this is Wander Stars, and I've got two different trailers for this because it was at two different shows.
Join Ringo and Wolf, unlikely partners in a race to find the Wander Star map.
This game is so cool looking. I remember seeing it last year, and the art style has gotten even better. It looks like an old school 80s, 90s anime with the filter that they put on it. The art style is so good.
Surprising new effects. Befriend your rivals to earn pep-ups and get special abilities.
Love that.
Travel the universe on a roller coaster adventure filled with twists and turns. Make friends and enemies in a tale of mystery, betrayal, redemption, surfing capybaras, and delicious empanadas.
Hell yeah.
Will Ringo and Wolf find all the pieces of the Wander Star map? Tune in to find out.
Yeah, this game looks great. I'm very excited about this one. And then there's another trailer, which is the release date. It shows a few more bits and pieces of it.
Next time on Wander Stars. Join Ringo and Wolf, unlikely partners in a race to find the Wander Star map.
Yeah, this shows a little bit more of the combat engine, how it works.
Use words to fight and unleash custom attacks in this.
See, that's super neat. I think I saw that before, but I missed it.
Collect and combine over 200 words for surprising new effects.
That's so cool.
Friend your rivals to earn pep-ups and get special abilities.
Sorry to watch most of this twice, but there is a couple things that are new in this version.
Will Ringo and Wolf find all the pieces of the Wander Star map? Tune in to find out.
So yeah, so out August 1st, which I am so stoked. Alright, Constance was one of the highlights from last year's show. It's still not quite ready. I haven't seen the new trailer yet. But it's like when I saw that they did something for this, I was like, okay, I'm marking it down. But this game's art style is so strong. We're getting to see so much more about it. But it looks so fluid, it's kind of like Metroid and Splatoon. And Castlevania all together. But it really looks amazing. I think it was confirmed for later this year. So I'm super stoked. Lots of good indie stuff coming out soon. Alright, this is a game that I thought was interesting. I don't know if it's a game I'm going to play myself, but I thought this was a cool idea.
Sons and daughters of farmers with too much bravery and not enough wisdom, so some say. But what is a hero without a princess to save? Without dragons to slay? Nothing. That's where you come in. As an agent at the Bureau of Fantastical and Arcane Affairs, you will ensure everything is as it should be for the hero's arrival.
Inside this cave.
Yeah, so basically, this is a game where you act as the creator of a D&D campaign. So you set up the villains and the enemies and the lairs
The book is titled
and all the things that the characters will find.
As it turns out, putting the soul of a demon inside of a skeleton is a touch more tricky than you might imagine. We, the members of the United Builders Union,
And then you're dealing with
a strike, effective immediately.
labor stuff.
Here with their cushy job and their clipboard that decides if we have to do more work.
A dragon attack? That is not in the budget.
And then financial and all this stuff. It's a really neat idea to look at a fantasy game from the complete opposite angle. I don't know if it's a game I'm going to be that invested in playing myself, but I do think it's really neat. Parasensor. This was a really strong trailer. Really captivating. It reminds me of the old school Resident Evils. Looks like it's got tank controls. But just a really modern and fascinating art style. And it makes me really wonder what in the world's happening in this game. Yeah, like, I'm intrigued by this one. I hope it turns out well. This is Food Domina. This is a genre I'm not normally super into, but I thought the art style was really strong. Great sprite work. And the concept is really interesting, because you are two young women that are types of food, and you're dealing with a mold menace that has been infecting your friends. So you're basically trying to rescue them as best as you can. But it's like a hyper shoot 'em up space. Really cool idea, and like really strong visual style, and the music that they chose is really good. So I hope that turns out well.
Are you ready for MJ's Flamin' Hot Tunes from the pits of Ayo?
So this is a visual novel
The world is a stage
of sorts. I don't really know what to call these, but if you've played Coffee Talk, this will probably be similar, because you're a donut artiste, and you sell your donuts to these characters to interact with them.
Get me focused on what I need to do.
Maybe I just need to cheer up.
You got a recipe for that?
So yeah, you get to make the donuts, and there's different story elements that unlock as you play. But the art style is really nice. I don't know if it's a game I'm going to play, but I think it's really neat. I wanted to give it some props. This was at Wholesome Direct last year and showed up at the Southeast Asian Game Showcase this year. I like the art style for this game a lot, and it's just kind of a cool concept. I used to love these types of books when I was a kid, where you have all these things on the page and you have to find characters and specific items. And this is like a living version of that. And I'm way too excited about that prospect. Especially when the game looks as nice as this one does. So, I hope that comes out to more than just Steam, because I would be all over it if it came to a console. I really would. This is a visual novel called Until Then. I feel like putting all these words kind of hurts the absolute artistry of how gorgeous this game looks. Because it looks really, really nice. But it's like all these review scores are like in the high 7s to low 9s, and I feel like that's hurting what this game's trying to sell, which is just incredible visuals. Like, this would have been fine. But it looks stunning. Excellent sprite work. And it won a bunch of awards. I'm not 100% sure if it's a game I'm going to invest in myself, but I did want to, at the very least, show it off because it is just a really cool looking game. And it's coming to Switch on June 26th. So this is a Mega Man Metroid-y, Sonic-y game. Maybe Freedom Planet's a better word choice than Sonic. I just think this game looks really sick in motion. It's super cute, super fluid. The combat looks fun. It looks like it controls really well. And it's like the music is just giving me like really good NES vibes. I just think it looks really sick. I hope it turns out really, really well in the end. Oh, it's available now on Steam, but I'm hoping it comes to other consoles. I'll have to read some reviews down the road to see if it if it plays as well as it looks. Alright, I'm going to skip ahead slightly so we can actually see the game that we're talking about here. No offense to the dev team that wanted to have a moment to talk. So this is Stranger 7. Which is a pretty sick looking action adventure game. Where you can tag between different characters once you find them. And it's got really cool Sentai vibes to it. But I like the art style. The combat looks pretty fun. And being able to kind of tag in and out. It's kind of like a Marvel game. But it's all about style, and I think that's fun. So we'll see how that turns out. This game is one of the most visually striking games out of everything that happened the last few days. Just beautiful and distinctive art style. You can customize what your character looks like. You solve puzzles, engage with characters. Just such a really awesome looking game. I'm really intrigued by it. Absolutely stunning looking game. So this game, this is a highlight for me out of all the games shown. The pixel artist of Celeste teaming up with Disaster Piece and a different dev team to create a really sick looking... I don't know if I can call it a sim game. It's got sim elements during the day, but at night you enter a nightmare-scape that is a action-adventure game like Zelda. But there's some really sick stuff happening in this game. I think it's one of the coolest games that I saw this whole Summer Game Fest. Just look at these character designs. Absolutely incredible. That's currently Steam only, but and it's another game Outer Sloth is helping fund. Outer Sloth, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Alright, this is Crescent County. This was from the women-led showcase. Another racing game that I normally am not a huge fan of the genre. But this is a really cool concept.
We just maybe went in the interesting time. That being said, we are very stubborn. We've been building this world for years, and that's why we're bringing this.
I love the art style. It's very, very stunning to look at.
In Crescent County, you're making deliveries.
It's kind of like
using the money you earn,
Crazy Taxi, sorta.
Racing your friends by night with a healthy dose of kissing as well.
But it's got character development and relationship building. The racing itself looks pretty fun. If Mario Kart World's taught me anything, that just driving around in a really pretty space is a great thing.
So if you fancy being a punk witch, motor grooming your way through the Isles, please consider backing Crescent County on Kickstarter.
This is currently a Kickstarter project, as you just heard. So if this catches your eyes, you could go check out their Kickstarter. Super sick looking game though. Volunteered the Ascension. This game looks incredible. Super huge Metroidvania with a living map. So it sounds like it adjusts as you play. There's different ways you can fight and engage with enemies, and probably do platforming and such. But it just looks really good, and you can meet all kinds of different people and form different bonds. There's boss fights that look, as they said, epic. But it just looks gorgeous. Some really strong stuff coming out of the indie space this year. You almost wouldn't know it from watching the big shows, because they only spotlight a few indies, and it really felt like everything Jeff spotlighted outside of like Neo and Nina the Harrower was like very, very violent, very grounded games. But there's so much else going on, and that's why I love all the other stuff that these shows, like Women-Led Games and Wholesome Direct and Latin America Showcase and the Southeast Asia Showcase and the Mix and all that do. We saw this one last year, Ela of Frosty Glide. It looks even better a year later. This reminds me a bit of a short hike, but if you had a broom instead of being a bird. It really just kind of looks like you chill out in this really cool space and you do some platforming and you interact with people. You collect coins and you solve puzzles. A really charming voxel style, and I'm not the biggest voxel fan, but I think it works really well for this game. I think it looks really great, and I'm still excited about it. This is Angeline Era. So this is a fantastic looking retro throwback to like the PS1 action adventure, but it looks really fluid and responsive. And very authentic to that time frame. Early PS1. But it also gives me some sense of like Zelda as well, which I think is really cool. I just think it looks really fascinating, and you can check out a demo if you'd like. Alright, this is a genre that's not really my thing, because it's a lot of what looks like puzzle stuff to me. But it's really cute. It reminds me of Game Boy Advance games in terms of the art style. So I just wanted to show it off, because I think it's really cool. Everybody you talk to seems to have their own unique puzzle. And you get to build relationships and stuff. It's just cool. Cool looking game. Very cute art style. I think a lot of people will really like this game, even if it's not 100% a genre that I'm super big on. Spilled. This game's out on PC, but it is coming to consoles. And I read some dev history behind this, and I think this game just sounds really cool. And I'm glad it's coming to consoles now, because I'll actually play it. I'm not going to show it for too long because it is something that's already out, but I did want to spotlight the fact that it is coming to a bunch of different consoles very soon. Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. Everdeep Aurora. Speaking of games with incredible art styles, I saw this game last year and fell in love with how it looks. And here we are a year later. I saved watching it until now. But, like, this is some strong use of color. Incredibly detailed sprite work. Beautifully animated. There'll be a demo coming soon. I think this has some elements of SteamWorld Dig in the digging gameplay that we didn't see a lot of. This was definitely more of a, here's all the cool stuff you can do when you're not doing that part, because I think they showed that last year. Really sick looking game though. I'm really excited to see more of it. Discounty.
Hello, dear. It's your Aunt Tella.
I haven't seen this new trailer, but I remember seeing it last year. I thought it was really, really compelling.
Things aren't like they used to be.
Because you are basically
city life was never for you.
a person that works at a store.
I'm rebranding into a discounty supermarket.
You get to design the place, but there's some
new ideas.
Interesting stuff going on behind the scenes in this game.
Had a keen eye. Seize the day. The people here are kinder. And you can leave the politics to me. I just know you'll do great things here.
Yeah, this is where things start getting interesting.
With love, your Aunt Tella.
Yeah.
I'll see you soon.
There's just some interesting stuff going on with this game, and I would like to know more about it. Gecko Gods. We've seen this the last 2 years. It looks so good. They've really taken this time to polish the game's visuals. And the Gecko looks like it's super smooth to control. I don't know what it is about these animal-based platformy games, but I kind of love them. And solving all these neat little puzzles and stuff. I'm just absolutely intrigued by this game. I can't wait for it to finally come out. And I think it said this year. I did watch this trailer already. Yeah, autumn of this year. I'm so excited. I think it's going to be a wonderful game. Okay, next up is Hotel Galactic. This gives me some Spirited Away vibes. I don't know if it's a game that I personally am going to be all that interested in because it's a sim game, ultimately. And I'm not the biggest sim fan when that's basically the core of things. But it looks really nice. I think this was shown last year, but it's come a long way. The art style has gotten so much stronger. So if sim games are your jam, definitely look into this one, because I think you'll have a good time with it. Oh, here we go. This was the highlight of the Xbox show. I love Spiritfarer. This is by the same team that made Spiritfarer. Look at this animation. Look at this art style. Listen to that soundtrack. I bet Max LL is doing it again, because it reminds me of Spiritfarer's soundtrack. It looks so good. But it has combat this time. But it's not just a combat game. It's about relationships. So we had a hug with our sister earlier. Now we're gonna fight our sister. So it seems like there is some stuff that you can do to affect relationships. Look at this animation though. Jesus, Thunder Lotus. But it looks like you can call cards to pull up special attacks. Not my favorite thing, but I don't care when a game looks this good. You can talk in the middle of battle. I cannot wait to see more of this game. I was really kind of sad that Thunder Lotus was working on their Hades-like, multiplayer Hades-like. I guess that came out. I'm not sure. I'm so glad that this is something new. At the moment, though, it's only been announced for Xbox, so I'm hoping that it will be coming to PS5 in the near future, because I think it looks incredible. And is going to already be a highlight of next year, for sure. Another really great-looking indie that showed up at the Xbox show was the sequel to Planet of Lana. I have this on my PS5. I still have not played it. But now there's another one. And it looks really good, too. And eventually we'll actually see the new game. So yeah, I thought this first game looked absolutely gorgeous. I'm looking forward to actually playing it in the near future. But it's exciting to know there's more to look forward to. I'm going to stop it, though, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone else who might not have played it. I ended up watching the whole thing. Because I was watching an Xbox Direct and waiting for more stuff. But I think that this is really cool that they were successful enough to make another game. Don't Nod. The original Life is Strange devs and the ones who made Lost Records has a new game.
Mayday! Mayday! Hold on to mission control. We're falling.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to mute it because Don't Nod decided to have licensed music appear in their trailer. So we're just going to watch it in silence and the wonderful AC sound that you're hearing in the background. This is a very interesting looking game, though. So you are basically stranded on this ice island, or ice planet. Or maybe you've come back in the Arctic. I'm not 100% sure. And you're basically doing this action adventuring. Probably trying to find a connection to be able to get rescued, I'm going to guess. It looks like you go through your old ship. Maybe other ruins that are up here. Really cool looking game. So, I'm pretty interested in seeing more of Aspelion in the near future. I'm going to turn the sound back on.
A week in the life of a demon school.
Demon school!
Starting now.
So close.
Catch up on the news. Get
Coming out this summer.
Fight some guys using tactics. Check your
This game looks better and better every time I see it.
Classroom. Gain a rival. Fight some more guys. Find a dog. Wednesday, romance your friends. Kick an egg. Fight those guys. Thursday, follow some blood. Track down a missing sandwich. Pull a new friend out of nowhere. There's guys. You fight them. Friday, find a cursed dog. Learn a terrible secret. Fight a really big guy. The weekend, sing karaoke, race beetles, rent some tapes, and generally just relax. That's 1 week down, many to go.
So much shown in this particular trailer.
An RPG with tactical battles right now.
I have been waiting for this game for like 4 years. It's almost time. I'm so excited to see. Couple more left. We're almost done. This is Ambrosia Sky. This is a first-person game.
I know you're nervous about going home.
But I thought this had a strong art style and a really compelling gameplay hook.
We don't know the state of the crisis.
It kind of reminds me a bit more of Metroid Prime, in that you're not necessarily trying to fight things so much, but you're exploring a space and trying to understand what's going on.
Don't get sucked back in.
It still looks a little early. Like, the left hand doesn't animate as well as I think it should, but really cool looking game. Was very impressed by...
Remember, D, it's just a job.
Its style. So I'm hoping that one turns out well. And last but not least is a game called Mandrake. Another visually stunning game by the Sunless Sea, Sunless Skies developers.
Small, complicated, and everyone's got their own story.
It's a bit of a sim game as well.
Horticulture has been under a curse.
But again, visually striking.
Unpredictable.
Really, really nice art style.
But you come from a long line of sorcerers steeped in the green and growing arts. Your family's old lodge has been empty for a long time, so don't expect airs and graces. Chandley may be small, but it's thick with secrets, and set in its ways. Is it ready for the return of a Mandrake?
Super neat looking game. So yeah, those are all the trailers from all the things that weren't Sony or Summer Game Fest. a lot of really cool stuff was shown, just scattered over so many days and so many different shows. It's exhausting how much happens during what is now Summer Game Fest instead of E3 week. But I think that there's some really cool stuff, and I wanted to share that with all of you. We'll call this a done deal, but thank you for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Take care, friends.